efficient. This is when we think about felling trees. It obviously was an industry, and as an industry, you want to be efficient in doing a number of tasks seamlessly. So that's not just dropping the tree, that's bucking the tree into lengths, that's limbing the tree and getting everything off of the tree, and then being able to move it to the log landing. So there's a whole host of skill sets. We don't explore all of these in these competitions necessarily, but over time we have. So for example, you can see over against that table there's a bunch of blue poles. Those poles are called PVs, it's a tool. And so one of the things we would need to do is move logs, in the large heavy logs, we need to move them into a location or a particular position where they can be dragged out, skidded out by, at the time, a horse over, as we expanded after World War II into mechanized machinery, we then used crawler tractors. Now obviously we're using a variety of skidders and forwarders and other equipment. But we needed to move those. So one of the competitions that we don't do here, but is using PVs to roll logs a distance and keeping them straight. Two people, a long log, and you have to roll it straight down a course. That's a skill set that was really important in the woods. How fast can you move a felled tree into a position to be logged and skidded out? We don't do that here. We may some year. But we are doing other things. So for example, cutting things to length. These last two exercises that we've looked at were largely about cutting things to length. But we use saws for that. At other times you used axes. And you might, because of the location, how many of you have ever been out in the woods and found the woods to be very flat, just like this? All right, if you have, you haven't been in the Adirondacks. I mean, you might be somewhere else, like the coastal plains and Carolinas, but not here. So here, when you drop a tree in the woods, it could be in any kind of a mix of swales, on top of boulders, on top of other trees, in a giant, terrible, uneven space. And you need to cut it to length. And you may not be able to cut it in length by actually standing on either side of it with the two-person crosscut saw. Or with a bow saw. So you might actually have to stand on it to cut it to length. And that's the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to do the standing chop. It's called the underhand chop. So I'll let Keith take over and share a little bit more about this. I'd love to talk, if we can, a little bit about the safety associated with this too, if we could.